A rare bit of good news that we're going to talk about later on in the show. In response to a judge's orders, the Trump regime is making sure that Abrego Garcia is going to be returned to the United States. Awesome. That is as it should be. Here's the thing, though. Look how long it's taken for us to get here. And when he gets home, we don't know exactly what's going to be going on. This will be for him, as it will be for all of the other men and women who've been illegally detained, who have been, in some cases, disappeared, in some cases, deported, and in many cases, incarcerated in unspeakable conditions. When are they going to get justice? This has been going on in some cases for weeks and months. And yet, we still do not have the basic answer to some very basic questions. Are these people ever going to get due process? It looks like Abrego Garcia might, but we don't really know that yet either. So for all of these people who have been detained and incarcerated for weeks and potentially, in some cases, months, they're not even on the road to getting justice yet. Just sort of reminds me of one of the hallmarks of the Trump regime that we need to keep in mind when understanding just how much damage is being done and how difficult it's going to be to recover. It takes years, decades to build institutions. It takes months, in some cases years, to get justice. And yet, it takes a moment to be destructive influence, to raise institutions to the ground, to render them powerless, to destroy a life or a livelihood. We learned today that the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court gave DOJ 2 wins. The Department of Government Efficiency is going to be allowed to continue to have access to Americans' most sensitive financial data. Okay, well, how is that related to what I was just talking about? Well, most, if not all, of these immigration cases are going to reach the Supreme Court. And this is one of the many things that troubles me here. As we learned today, yet again, this corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court, led by John Roberts, does not know what is constitutional or unconstitutional. The Department of Government Efficiency is an unconstitutional agency. It was not formed by Congress. It was not authorized by Congress. It has no right to exist, and therefore it has no right whatsoever to have access to anything belonging to us. And yet, said corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court doesn't either care or recognize that this agency and all of its doings are not constitutional. This does not bode well for us, and it certainly does not bode well for the immigrants who continue to be illegitimately, illegally, and unconstitutionally detained. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Barry Trip Live. It is great to be here with you. As I said, we have some good news today, and that is, of course, that Abrego Garcia is being returned to the United States. After a massive legal battle to facilitate his return, Attorney General, the execrable Pam Bondi, held a press conference today in which she was asked about Garcia's return, and she explained the government's charges against him. Take a look at this.
Good afternoon. We're here today to announce a major update in an important case. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges. This is what American justice looks like. The grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women.
Wow, that's new. I hadn't heard that before. They're so creative when they're being vile, aren't they? All right, let's be clear about what actually happened here. Back in 2022, Garcia was pulled over during a traffic stop. Just a quick aside, can we please stop having cops perform traffic stops? That'd be awesome. Thank you. So Garcia was driving several passengers, and while there was a suspicion he might be transporting them for money, a suspicion, mind you, he wasn't given a ticket. He wasn't charged with any crime. They let him go with a warning. And what was the warning for? Was it trafficking? No. He was driving with an expired license. That was the end of the story. When asked about why Garcia was being charged now for that traffic stop, and by the way, that traffic stop during which none of what Bondi said happened actually happened, this is what Bondi had to say.
The traffic stop that we've seen video of from Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was first identified by the local authorities, at the time, the Homeland Security Department declined to take custody of him. What has happened in between that time and in between the time that the government has been arguing that he was not returnable from El Salvador? What has happened since in this investigation that brought you here?
Yes, the question was in 2021, there was the traffic stop. And what has changed since then? What has changed is Donald Trump is now president of the United States and our borders are again secure. And thanks to the bright light that has been shined on Abrego Garcia, this investigation continued with actually amazing police work. And we were able to track this case and stop this international smuggling ring from continuing.
Okay, it's an international smuggling ring now that the cops at the time just didn't think mattered. Is that what we're being told now? And also, what else are we being told? Donald Trump, an actual criminal, an actual convicted felon, gets to decide what is and isn't criminal. Well, he would know. He breaks the law all the time. I'd say make it make sense, but it does make sense. Because when you're that practiced a criminal, you actually do know what is a crime and what isn't. What is unacceptable is that the convicted felon sitting in the Oval Office is in a position to make those decisions about other people. A journalist gave Bondi another chance to clarify her stance on the charges against Garcia, which at this point, I have to tell you, seem completely fabricated. And the reason we need the clarification because she had previously suggested that Garcia was a murderer. Take a look at this interaction.
Maybe I misunderstood you, but you were mentioning, that he had some involvement in a murder, or was connected to groups that had, involved with this other smuggling ring. But to be clear, the only charges he's facing right now are the, human smuggling charges. Just this
Yeah.
that's the one offense, but the other things that you have talked about are not actually in the indictment?
No, co-conspirators allege that, and we were clear to say that. He is charged with, it's not only very serious charges of alien smuggling. And again, there were children involved in that. You know, human trafficking, not only in our country, but in our world, is very, very real. It's very dangerous.
Yes, yes, human trafficking, the trafficking of children, sex trafficking. These are things that are very, very real in our world and in our country. And the fact that these despicable people who are in charge of our Department of Justice, which doesn't mean anything anymore, are fabricating charges against a man to make a case just completely undermines the real fight against human trafficking. That is a very real problem in the world about which people like Pam Bondi care not at all. I don't understand how somebody like her can just walk in the world lying about such profound things. But let's remember, she helped Jeffrey Epstein get away with what he got away with. So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. The charges against Abrego Garcia are flimsy at best. And it's clear that Donald Trump's Department of Justice is willing to do anything they can. They're willing to continue telling lies. They're willing to continue adding fictional charges so they can charge and incarcerate Garcia. Regardless of these attempts, though, Garcia's return was a huge win for those fighting across the country for immigrants' rights and the constitutional right to due process, which is in danger right now. Ed Cranstein posted some breaking news on Twitter, adding, quote, "Huge loss for Donald, huge win for the Constitution," unquote. Well, I mean, again, I remain skeptical about that last part. But yes, I mean, it's a huge win, certainly, for Garcia and his family and those of us who care about these things, but it's not certainly the end of the story. All of this comes after months of court rulings, even from the Supreme Court, and citizens demanding Garcia's return. After the Donald's DOJ admitted it made a mistake in detaining Garcia and then sending him out of the country, they still refused to bring him back. Amidst all of this, they then began to make up shit about him. They fabricated crime after crime. Every time Bondi or Donald spoke about this man, they added another charge, one that was worse than the one that came before. So, upon his return to the United States, Garcia will face charges much more serious than those he was actually involved with in 2022. Remember, he was given a warning for driving with an expired license. That is not what he's going to be charged with now. Due to tireless efforts, however, of some esteemed U.S. judges, documents once held secret by the Trump regime are now unsealed. And because Garcia is going to need them in order to craft a defense. Most notably, one document we got was a transcript of the April 30th Nashville hearing for trafficking that was previously held under wraps. Now, again, all of this is very suspicious. First of all, Donald has said repeatedly that Garcia was never going to come back to the United States. So the fact that Garcia is back, that's a loss for him and his administration and a win for Garcia. Great. However, I remain deeply concerned that Garcia will not be a free man, that this will take a very, very long time to wind its way through the courts, that the Department of Justice under Donald Trump will do everything in its power to drag its feet, to impede progress, to thwart the rule of law. They will continue to malign this man. They will continue to slander him. They will continue to make his life a misery. His family will continue to suffer. And for what exactly? And not only that, who can stop them? And the answer, I'm afraid, in the short term, is nobody. Before we go on, please take a minute to like our videos and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or rate and follow the podcast. All right, so as in the grand scheme of things, as bad as this may be, this is actually a win, and we should view it as such. A win for us, a win for immigrants, a win for the rule of law, a win for due process. And Donald, however, keeps losing. He's losing constantly from all directions. And now Russia is joining the party because Russia just mocked Donald's breakup with Elon Musk in a way that can only be described as ironic. A senior Russian security official and former president and prime minister of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said, quote, "We are ready to facilitate the conclusion of a peace deal between D&E for a reasonable fee and to accept Starlink shares as payment," unquote. Okay. Well, what is this in reference to? Well, obviously, they're mocking Donald for having offered to facilitate a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, but completely failing to do so because both countries know that Donald is a complete joke who doesn't know anything about anything and who's incapable of making any progress in bringing the two sides together. Taking it even further, Russia offered Elon Musk asylum. Dmitry Novikov, who's the first deputy chairman of the State Duma Committee on International Affairs, told the Russian state news outlet TASS that in the instance that Musk needed political asylum, Russia's got his back. I mean, that's got to hurt for Donald, who thinks Russia is endlessly loyal to him. But I got to be honest, if I were Elon Musk, I wouldn't be too happy about that either, because does he really want to go to Russia? I don't know. Because I don't think Elon Musk is capable of being loyal to anybody either. And that can get you in a lot of trouble in Vladimir Putin's Russia. I think, I don't mean to be flip here. Let me try to be serious. I can't. Sorry. Donald's bad week is just getting worse, which is as it should be. This time, he's not faring well in his legal battle with Harvard, an actual Ivy League school, which he couldn't get into no matter what he did, quite frankly. So resistance is mounting in the courts late Thursday afternoon, probably during Donald's very public and very humiliating social media breakup with Musk. A federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump regime's effort to block Harvard from admitting international students. That same judge, Allison D. Burroughs, handed down this blow, extending her temporary order to prevent Donald from blocking Harvard from issuing certain types of student visas. This marked the third time in the past month that Donald tried to ban Harvard's international students, but as the New York Times pointed out, this week marked the first time Donald tried to use executive action to do it. They went on to say this, quote, "is a sign of how personal the effort to inflict distress on the Ivy League university has become for him," unquote. Why is this personal to him? Why? Like, what is that about? Yes, okay, xenophobia. Sure. No international students, but he likes rich international people, right? Like, if you've got $5 million, it doesn't matter where you come from. He'll let you in the country, right? What is it about? I think I got it. He, as I said earlier, could never have gotten into Harvard. Not only that, he did get into the University of Pennsylvania, which is also an Ivy League school. But, there's Ivy League and then there's Ivy League. Back in the 1960s, University of Pennsylvania was not a top-tier Ivy League school. So that's problematic. What's more problematic? Well, first of all, when Donald was in his reform school, the military academy in high school, he couldn't get into any schools. So he ended up going to Fordham, which he found humiliating. So, what did he do? He decided he wanted to go to the University of Pennsylvania. So he worked really, really hard. Sorry, I'm just kidding. No, he didn't. He had my Aunt Marianne do his homework, and then he paid somebody to take his SATs for him. And then he asked my dad, whose fraternity brother worked in the office of admissions at the University of Pennsylvania, to do his little brother a solid. That's what it took to get Donald Trump into, at the time, a lower tier Ivy League institution. So, should it surprise us that his fight against Harvard would be so petty and personal, that his fight against any institution that will not accept him, because he's quite frankly unacceptable, he's unqualified, he's not smart enough, he's not accomplished enough, should it surprise us that he would be going after institutions that he believes have rejected him out of spite, have just not appreciated his greatness? Of course it shouldn't surprise us. And the fact that he keeps losing, that's got to make it all worse. Thankfully, the Trump regime is also having a tough week, especially the Secretary of Labor. Resistance against Donald's authoritarianism mounts as his policies continue to fail Americans. Secretary of Labor Gloria Chavez de Ramírez had an embarrassing appearance where even Fox Business host Stuart Varney refused to gloss over, which is to say lie about, the job losses in this country. Watch this.
Now, 8,000 manufacturing jobs were lost in May. That's not what you wanted to see.
Well, we're certainly holding steady, and under the Trump administration, manufacturing jobs are still up over what the last administration under Biden had. The focus of my America at Work tour is to increase those manufacturing jobs, and we'll continue to stay laser focused on that as the president continues to double down on how important this is to the American economy.
But how come we're losing 8,000 manufacturing jobs in May, and when there's a big push to bring manufacturing jobs back to America, how come we're losing those jobs?
Well, we're certainly holding steady.
Okay. Forgive me for stating the obvious, but losing jobs is not holding steady. Gaining jobs wouldn't be holding steady. Holding steady is when nothing changes at all. So it's fascinating that these people actually think we're so stupid that we can't tell the difference between holding steady and losses that continue to mount. Now, all of this comes as Donald tries to bring manufacturing back to the United States, which, by the way, is something that cannot happen overnight. It may not be able to happen at all. We have been steadily losing manufacturing jobs since the 70s. We don't have the infrastructure anymore. We do not have the raw materials anymore. We can't afford the raw materials anymore because of somebody's tariffs. There were 1,000 manufacturing job losses back in April. In May, again, factories cut 8,000 jobs. Not holding steady. This week, a survey of factory managers conducted by the Institute for Supply Management dropped, and NPR reported it showed, quote, Donald's tariffs are a considerable jag on the manufacturing sector where orders, output, and employment all fell, unquote. Yes, because that is the result of not understanding the very basic mechanism behind tariffs. Tariffs are taxes on goods imported into this country that end up being covered, paid for by American consumers. Okay? What else happens? Tariffs make goods more expensive for either people selling them here or people who are purchasing raw materials in order to produce goods here. That is all bad for manufacturing. Why? Well, because who wants to be manufacturing something that is going to be so expensive as to be unaffordable for their customers? Nobody. So I'm sure Donald is going to learn a lesson from this. No, I'm not sure of that at all. He's not going to learn any lessons. This is going to continue. The situation is going to continue to deteriorate unless and until somebody steps in to change what's going on. Because quite frankly, in the Trump regime, holding steady means that every single day things get worse. All right. Cool. It is time. It is Friday. It's Friday. I haven't said this yet. I apologize. Happy Pride, everybody. Yeah, it's the whole month. So thankfully I remembered before the end of I was just in DC for World Pride. I spoke at an event down there, so I should have remembered. I did remember. I just didn't remember to wish you all a happy Pride. So I apologize. That's sort of, I think that's one of the reasons my voice is a little scratchy. Also, because this is just where we are in the world. The East Coast of the United States is sort of blanketed in smoke from Canadian wildfires. So yeah, it's a little tough on the larynx. So hopefully that'll clear up soon. That will hopefully clear up. We will definitely clear up sooner than Donald's ability to admit his mistakes, because that's never happening. Okay, so time for the emotional support moment. Today we're doing something a little different. 81 years ago today, Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day, but now, not surprisingly, morale is collapsing at the Department of Veterans Affairs because tens of thousands of jobs have been lost or are on the chopping block. VA Secretary Douglas Collins plans to cut 15% of the workforce. That's around 83,000 jobs. And this is sparking fears about the impact that will have on the ability for veterans to continue to receive care. Thousands of employees of the VA have already taken early retirement, which has, been an epidemic throughout agencies across the government. And they're worried about what's coming next. In response, however, veterans are protesting across the country. They're furious at the Trump regime's anti-veteran policies. Many of these people have served, many work in federal jobs, and now they're being pushed out because to Donald and people like him, their service is meaningless. They do not understand service. They do not understand sacrifice. So today in Washington, D.C., veterans rallied at the Capitol. One of them was Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, who lost both legs in Iraq. And here's a clip from her very powerful speech earlier today. Take a look.
Senator Tammy Duckworth has sacrificed so much for this country on a battlefield in Iraq and in that building right there. And she is the only elected representative who's taken this stage today. That tells us something. You know what? Words fail me. I'm just going to hand the mic to Senator Duckworth. It's an honor.
We've come together this afternoon because even if we're no longer wearing the uniform, we are always wearing the flag on our shoulder, facing forward. We are here because we are not afraid to call out the wrongs that need to be righted or to call out wannabe kings that need a history lesson. We are here because we refuse to see the democracy that we fought so hard for get dismantled. Because we refuse to let the health care and benefits our buddies rightfully earned be gutted. And because We refuse to let thousands of veterans who choose to continue serving this nation as federal workers be fired for no apparent reason.
We need to be hearing words like that from our elected representatives every single day. So thank you, Senator Duckworth, both for your service and your courage in standing up to this horrific onslaught against veterans by the Trump regime. Okay, I want to get to your questions and comments, et cetera, but I just have some news for you. Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States, and he was seen in the back of a truck with ICE agents in Nashville, Tennessee. So at least we know he is back. I hope he is okay. I will keep you obviously posted as we get more news. All right, here we go. Gina, new member to the channel. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, hang on one second. Not sure. So, oh, there we go. Oh. Cindy Bolt, sorry. Thank you as always. Our super sticker, excellent. Sorry, I'm having it's a little glitchy here, so forgive me. Mighty Cheryl, thank you so very much as always. Gifting 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mighty Cheryl. Mighty Cheryl, again, thank you so very much for this comment. Mary needs a kitten fund. We're getting in 8 more soon. Oh, wow. Maybe another month, including the courthouse kids who were rescued by Long Island Courthouse. I do not live far from there. That's fantastic. All right. Keep us posted. Yeah, the Mary Trump Media Kit is the thing that needs to happen. The problem is I keep traveling and I want to be in one place. So Mary Trump Media Travel Kit and I can bond and learn how to travel together. It's very important to me that I have a travel kit. Ghostlayer 59, thank you so much as always. Comment, kicking YouTube's algorithms ass fee. Love that so much. Mary, you were almost at 400K subs. Hit that sub button, peeps. We are so close. Great job, MTM. Wow. Thank you, Ghostlayer 59. That's really cool. And if you guys can push us over to 400,000 now, that'd be great. Patricia, new member, thanks so very much for joining. It is great to have you here. Just me. Thank you so much as always. Orville Free, you cracked me up. What a great news day that was. Cool. Yeah, that was fun, I have to say. Orville Redenbacher, always. His Divine Scatter, thank you so much to you as always. Comment, since that guy keeps using your name. How about Donald J. Toupee? It rhymes and the acronym still works. Toupee, always chickens out. I'm down with that completely. And I am thinking of sending a cease and desist. Stop using my last name, Donald. You think that's going to do the trick? Oh, maybe I should have put it more formally. Stop using my last name, Donald J. Toupee. Taco. And just a reminder, taco does stand for Trump always chickens out, but there's a D at the beginning of the word. It's just silent. Because otherwise it would sound ridiculous if you said the taco. Anyway, I'm trying. Kelly Cannon in the house. Thank you so very, very much for that. Grant, thank you very much. Comment. He was stopped taking aliens to work, picking them up on the way together, no charge at the time, deflection from Elon in the files. Yeah, you know what? I think that's very possibly true. Oh, let's do this thing we swore up and down we were never going to do, to change the narrative, to shift the news cycle to something else. I think this time it's not going to work, though, because this is actually big news. This is very important news. And I think this is much more important than whatever's going on with Elon Musk. I'm not saying it's more important than the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, but Do we really think Pam Bondi is going to do anything about that? And again, it's not like this is always going to be the Garcia stuff, the horrors with the way immigrants are being treated. That's very, very important. But that is one of their go-to moves, and it is absolutely true. We've all seen the video. He was probably just giving a bunch of guys he knew to a ride to work. Was he paid to do it? Do you care? I mean, obviously the cops didn't care. And they didn't even give him a warning about that. They gave him a warning because he was driving with an expired license. So what I will say, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Most importantly, I hope this nightmare ends as quickly as humanly possible for Mr. Abrego Garcia. Secondly, when the nightmare is over, I hope he sues Donald Trump and everybody associated with this debacle into oblivion. And I hope he wins. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of people lining up to help him out with that. Rose, thank you so much for that. 4 of SCOTUS are Harvard alumni. Yeah, well, so much for diversity. And I wonder if they were members of the Law Review, which I've heard is like a secret communist association, according to Donald. Yeah, they all must be so proud of what they've unleashed upon us. Marianne, thank you. Another member. Welcome. Great to have you here as well. Todd, thank you, Todd. That's fantastic comment. God bless you, Mary, from Todd Mayo in Kentucky. Awesome. Sorry about the red state. Hope you're at a relatively blue place. That's for sure. And we're very glad you're here. Lizzie Beth, thank you so much. Your comment is thank you for covering veterans issues. Well, they're very important and they should be covered much more than they are. So we will stay on it for sure. Loretta, super sticker. Thanks so very much, Loretta. Much appreciated. Deborah, another super sticker. Thank you for that. That's great. And finally, PJ. Wow, PJ, that's fantastic. I really, we appreciate your generosity. That is extremely helpful. And all of you, to all of our super stickers, everybody giving us gifts, everybody joining with by opting for paid subscriptions. You guys really keep this place going, and we so appreciate that. So for those of you who don't know, we do have a new feature. It's paid subscriptions. Now that has nothing to do with subscribing to the channel. Subscribing to the channel is still free. Don't worry about it. But this way you can subscribe at different levels and you get extras. There could be emojis. We've got stickers that you could use when you post comments. You could have access to participating in surveys. And what are they called? Polls. At a higher level, we have a bad book club. So check out all of what's on offer, and we think you'll like it. Also, the easiest way really to support us, other than subscribing to the channel, which I really hope you do because we are almost at 400,000 subscribers, is to like and share our pre-recorded videos, which drop every single day. So if you like and share those videos, if you comment on those videos, it really does help us with the YouTube algorithm. It helps other people find our channel, all of which is extremely helpful at this point. As you know, the YouTube algorithm doesn't exactly put its thumb on the scale for, let's say, the left-leaning among us. Thank you, as always, to our awesome moderators for keeping this a place we want to be, for sure. And especially, we really missed you guys while I was away, so it's great to have everybody back. And the moderators also help keep everybody informed. So thank you for that. And of course, I want to thank my amazing team who I did an incredible job of holding things together when I was in the UK. We were all still working during that hiatus, and they just did a fantastic, fantastic job. So that does it for us. We made it through another week. So thank you, everybody. As a reminder, I will be back this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the first episode in a while of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. And then next week, our regular schedule, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, we have Mary Trump Live. The Nerd Avengers will be back on Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. And again, we've got videos dropping every single day. So please check those out. I promise you will enjoy them. And tomorrow we have our regular Saturday feature, Trump Trolls Trump. I think that says it all. But check that out too. All right, guys, that does it for me. We will see you Sunday for Ask Mary Anything Within Reason at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.